Now, I want you to ask yourself, are you actually ready to nail your corporate finance exam? Or if you're already out there in the field, are you ready to execute a redemption without exposing your company to massive legal risk? Because let me tell you, this is high-stakes stuff. The Companies Act really doesn't leave any room for creative interpretations when it comes to paying back debenture holders. So grab your notes and let's make sure you're fully prepared for exam day and beyond.
Here's our roadmap for today. We've got an executive brief, the legal guardrails of Section 71, defining the DRR, the 4 methods of redemption, and a final exam prep review.
Starting with Section 1, Executive Brief on Debenture Redemption.
Okay, so at its core, you can think of a debenture kind of like a corporate mortgage, right? Redemption simply means repaying the principal and the interest of that debt on account of the debentures issued. When a company issues a debenture, it's officially acknowledging a debt. Redemption is just the actual execution of paying it off, and doing so according to the precise terms set on the very day the debenture was originally issued.
Now, looking at the big picture here, there's one absolutely non-negotiable rule you've got to grasp before we get into the weeds. Redemption must be done exactly according to the terms of issue. Seriously, any deviation from those original terms is legally treated as a corporate default. And trust me, you do not want to be the executive or the analyst who misinterprets those terms.
Which brings us right to Section 2, Legal Guardrails, specifically Section 71 of the Companies Act 2013.
The Companies Act sets some incredibly strict boundaries that we have to operate within. Let's rapidly break down the critical subsections of Section 71. So, if you want to issue debentures with an option to convert them into shares at redemption, Section 71(1) demands you absolutely must have that approved by a special resolution at a general meeting. No way around it. Section 71(2) draws a hard line. No company can issue debentures that carry voting rights. Period. And perhaps most importantly for us today, Section 71(4) mandates the creation of a debenture redemption reserve. Now, out of all these provisions, highlight Section 71(4) in your brain right now. This mandate to create a reserve out of profits available for dividend, that is the single most critical compliance step for your corporate accounting processes. It's essentially your ultimate safeguard. And that leads us perfectly into Section 3, defining the DRR.
If you're taking an exam on this, I guarantee you're going to see questions on the DRR. So what actually is the Debenture Redemption Reserve? Simply put, it's a mandatory account created out of the profits of the company that would otherwise be available for paying dividends. You are legally required to set this money aside. Why? To ensure the company has sufficient liquid funds to protect its debenture holders when it's time to pay them back. It's a corporate financial safety net, and those funds absolutely cannot be utilized for any other purpose.
But, the rules aren't actually the same for every single entity. All India financial institutions, banking companies, and listed NBFCs and housing finance companies, they're totally exempt. No DRR required for them. But for other unlisted companies, they are strictly bound to maintain one.
And what's that required adequacy? 10%. Seriously, drill this number into your head for exam day. For unlisted companies required to maintain it, the DRR has got to be 10% of the value of the outstanding debentures issued.
Now immediately pivot your attention to another vital number, 15%. This is a totally separate rule regarding the investment or deposit of funds. Specific companies must, on or before the 30th day of April each year, deposit or invest a sum not less than 15% of the amount of its debentures that are maturing during the year ending on the 31st day of March of the following year.
Here is an insider pro tip for you. Confusing these two numbers is literally a classic exam trap. So let's make sure we clearly contrast them right now. That 10% rule, that's about the adequacy of the debenture redemption reserve itself. It's an accounting creation out of your profits. The 15% rule, on the other hand, is an actual physical investment deposit requirement that has to be executed by April 30th for debentures maturing the next year. Keep those two concepts distinctly separated in your mind.
All right, moving right along to Section 4, the 4 methods of redemption.
Now that we've got our reserves and legal guardrails locked in, let's look at how a company actually executes the repayment in the real world. Under the Act, we essentially have a 4-part toolkit: payment in lump sum, payment in installments, purchase in the open market, and conversion into shares. The specific method you use is always going to depend on the original terms of the issue.
Let's quickly define the first one: payment in lump sum. It means exactly what it sounds like. The payment of the entire debenture debt is made in one single massive lot at maturity, or even before the expiry period if the terms allow for it. It is just a massive one-and-done payout.
Method 2 is payment in installments. Now, to ease the strain on corporate cash flow, the payment of a specified portion of the debenture is basically staggered. It's paid out at specified intervals throughout the life of the debenture rather than waiting entirely for a single terrifying maturity date.
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 5, Final Exam Prep Review. Let's shift fully into executive training mode and synthesize everything we just covered. These are the real-world traps you absolutely must remember, and they're the exact points test makers love to target. First, if you're converting to shares, you always need a special resolution under Section 71(1). Second, once money hits that DRR, it cannot be utilized for anything except redemption. Don't even touch it. Third, watch the calendar. Ensure that 15% investment is deposited by April 30th. And finally, what happens if things go south? Well, if a company fails to redeem on maturity, the tribunal has the power to step in and forcefully direct the company to pay up immediately. And trust me, you definitely don't want the tribunal knocking on your door. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this golden rule straight from the text. Redemption of debentures must be done according to the terms of issue. Any deviation therefrom will be treated as a default. Guys, this perfectly underscores just how severe it is to get these methods and legal requirements exactly right. There is absolutely no gray area here. So before you head into that exam or your next board meeting, ask yourself, is your company viewing debenture redemption as just an annoying accounting chore or as a strategic financial maneuver? Review your DRR rules, know your execution methods inside and out, and always respect the guardrails. Because in the world of corporate finance, how you clear your debt is just as critical as how you raise it in the first place. Keep learning and stay focused.